So folks, welcome. If you're in the background there, thank you so much for tuning in, as it were. And we're just going to pause for a few moments longer, just to any others that may well be logging in. So just bear with us for a moment. But those of you that are present, perhaps I'll just mention a couple of quick things in case you've never done a webinar before or anything like this. We do have access to the toolbar along the bottom. You should see a toolbar along the bottom of your screen, and if you can see the option that says reactions, so if you had a little play with that, you're welcome. While we're just waiting to click, say, on a thumbs up. If I just do my one, you'll see it float up the screen. Or if you really enjoy something that Gill's saying, you can give her a round of applause. Look at that. So we just tried to make the webinar a little bit interactive, so feel free to use that. All right, could you let me know as well via the chat message there? You said you could see and hear. Yes, okay. I just want to make sure the sound and everything is okay. Yeah, super. So feel free to interact with that. We have got the Q&A box, questions and answers. Thank you for a thumbs up there. Yes. And there is a chat box as well, but perhaps if you have a specific question, ladies and gents, you just use the Q&A box, but you can use the chat box if you want to, which is just to sort of chat amongst yourselves. But if you've got any specific questions that you'd like answered, use the Q&A box. All right. So I think we'll get started. So I'll just do a bit more of a formal introduction. So those of you who don't know me already, I'm Kevin. So I'm looking after the training side of things here at the DIA. So you may well have been on some of our courses. So I'll just give a quick plug to a few things that we've got coming up before Gill shares with us. So these webinars, for example, fairly new. We're trying to do one a month at least, sometimes two a month. So look out for our adverts on that. We are planning one with the DVSA regarding mock tests. So I know that's been quite a lot of demand for that through our help line. So we're going to try and do a tools and tips around conducting successful mock tests. So that should be our next one. We've got lots of other little courses. We're trying to listen to your feedback in terms of offering courses that are over Zoom. So there is a standards check workshop that we've now going to put on Zoom. So you'll find that on our DIA Academy website, as well as the in-classroom ones. Mindfulness is just over Zoom itself as well, so that's there. So I won't go through all the list, but have a little look at the DIA Academy website and you'll see them all there. Be good to see you either in person or online. Brilliant. So I've invited Gill along today because although I work 3 days a week with the DIA, one of my very part-time training kind of jobs is as a Nordic Walking instructor. So we won't be giving that too much of a plug today, but Gill is the head of Nordic Walking UK, and she'll introduce herself in a moment. But we thought that it would be helpful to share a few tools and tips with you, how you can just keep mobile and so on. Because I know when I used to teach learners, it was very much a occupational hazard to sitting down a lot, to have perhaps back trouble and things like that. So that's what we want to try and help with today anyway. So we'll let Gill do your little introduction, Gill, and then perhaps I'll share those little polls. We've got a couple of questions for the group, so you go.
Yeah, sure. I'll share the screen because I've got a slide on there. I'm not a lover of talking about myself, but usually if I don't, then people sort of say, well, how do you know this stuff, or where did that all start from? So really quickly, today we're going to be talking about just ways to move more effectively and move more, really, which is my absolute passion. And as Director of Walks, which is the new body that oversees Nordic Walking UK and what we now call total body walking, I've actually come from 40 years of physical activity promotion and creating innovative fitness programs, writing and training other people to deliver those programs, writing books, more recently even equipment designing. And all of that culminates in the fact that I just don't think exercise should be onerous. Exercise should be something that is fun, it's enjoyable, it's effective, it should be solution-based, it should be something we all know our bodies need, And therefore, how am I going to fit it in around my lifestyle without it becoming a chore or something that I'm just going to bin the minute life gets in the way. So that's what's culminated in everything that I've done so far, and why Kevin has asked me to kind of talk to you guys. So please do, before I move on, do the first two questions of Kevin's poll, because what I don't want to do is, if you're someone who runs 10 miles a day, I need to adjust how I might be pitching what I'm doing here, because obviously a lot of what I do is with people that don't do very much exercise at all. So Kevin, fire away.
Yes, so we've got a question coming your way, ladies and gents. So it should pop up on your screen. It's just if you were to take up a new regular activity, what? It wasn't that one, was it? Sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Back pain. That's it. Do you currently suffer with lower back pain or sciatica? So let's just launch that one, and that should be winging its way to you. So if you click on a yes or a no there, ladies and gents, and we'll see how common a sort of issue that is, perhaps. So it's still one more of you perhaps to vote there. And can you see that your side, Jill, the results? Or
yeah, I've got that. Maybe we could say, have you ever suffered with lower back pain or sciatica, rather than, at the moment. So during your career, doing what you're doing at the moment with driving instruction, etc., has it affected and caused back stiffness, pain or sciatica?
Yeah, I don't know if they can re-vote or not, but that gives us a bit of an idea there.
Okay,
but
yeah.
Try re-voting, folks. I've never done that before, so I don't know whether they would override your first answer, but I can't see anything changing there.
No,
so,
I don't think it would. Okay, so we've got
that one. So
yeah,
that
wonderful.
Share the results there. So I'm shared results, and then I'm trusting that you can all see some sort of numbers and feedback there. And then there's a second question, just before Jill does the rest of the slideshow there, what perhaps your current levels of activity might be. So why is that not letting me do it? That's strange. Right, it's not. I haven't got the launch button illuminated this time. 1 second. Let me just try that once more. Let's see. No, don't know why it doesn't want me to launch that one. But I was going to ask, how many times a week do you exercise for more than a 20-minute period? So perhaps you might like to answer that one in the Q&A box, or the chat box, folks. Sorry, I don't know why that one's not working. But so the question was, how many times a week do you exercise for more than a 20-minute period currently? So would you mind popping an answer in the chat box there? Thank you. So I can see a few things coming through there. So we've got sadly nil from Ian. That's fine. That's fine. That's what's not a problem.
Oh, Ian, you're my man.
He's crying now. The emoji's gone up.
He'll be smiling by the end of this.
Yes.
He'll have all the answers.
Brilliant. Oh, Corrine, well done, Corrine. 7 times a week. Lovely. Wendy's 2 times a week. Guy 3+, Diane 4, and Patrick perhaps 5 minutes at a time. Okay. Yeah, brilliant. All right, thank you. Sorry that one didn't work for some reason, but we still got the necessary feedback.
The answers.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so if we move on, let's sort of look at some solutions. Are you still seeing my slide?
Yeah, I've got that, certainly. Yeah.
So Kevin and I had a bit of a laugh about this, because generally when I use this slide, I'm using it for people in, I either have a picture of a sofa or a picture of an office chair, depending on who I'm talking to. And it's been one that I've used for years and years and years, because basically sitting down is actually quite a dangerous thing to do for too long. It's great to take the weight off the feet, but we were not designed to sit nearly as much as we do. We were designed to be constantly walking in search of our food, in search of our shelter, and in search of each other, and various other things. We were certainly only designed to crouch or sit for short periods a day. We've totally reversed that, as we all know. And obviously when Kevin asked me to speak to you guys, I thought, well, this is an interesting one, because I don't think I've come across an occupation where potentially you can't, if I'm talking to somebody in an office, I can say stand up every 15 minutes, which is the guidelines, or I can say get a standing desk, or have a walking meeting, or, you know, make sure you go from room to room, or at lunchtime go out for a walk. But with you guys, and I've chatted that through with Kevin, it's not, it's just getting to where you're working, you're sitting, whilst you're working, you're sitting, and there's only short breaks in between. So, but it is dangerous. So let's just, you know, it isn't just the physical side of it. And that's the bit that a lot of people think, oh, you know, stiffness, bad back, all the rest of it, lack of exercise. It is the metabolic side of sitting, which is where the biggest danger presents, because it affects the body's ability to regulate blood sugar, blood pressure, and break down body fat. So all the time that you're sitting, those things are slowing down and getting sluggish. That therefore increases the risk of unhealthy cholesterol levels, cardiovascular disease, and also cancer, amongst a plethora of other things that are all now linked to inactivity and sitting in particular. On a physical level, one of the key ones is that the longer people sit, the hip flexors, which we'll sort of show you how to stretch them in a minute, they shorten, they get shorter and shorter, and you develop basically we are, in the theory of evolution, we have gone from being sort of more bent over and ape-like to standing up beautifully as Homo sapiens, to now our anatomy for most people is we've actually got quite a shortened area around the hip flexors, which is affecting posture and is affecting our ability to move as well because of the sitting down. And it obviously leads to hip pain, back pain, and it affects our movement in a number of other ways. Even quite sporty people and runners will get problems in their hip area because of the sitting and maybe not stretching effectively in that area. So for me, the solution, yes, and it looks like lots of you are doing it, you're building time in your day for gym classes, running, etc. That's absolutely brilliant. But I also know that dealing with millions of people over the years, life gets in the way, family gets in the way. It's quite hard to schedule exercise. And so my aim is to look for solutions that basically there's no excuse. I always work with people and I come up with something where they can't say, oh yeah, but, oh yeah, but. So this is the oh yeah, no, oh yeah, but solution. So those of you who are already active, don't want to preach the converted, but we look at movement and in particular walking, because a lot of people, especially runners and cyclists, look at walking and think, that's not exercise. And that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions there is, because walking has got a huge amount of other things built into it that you don't get when you run or you cycle or anything else. And walking is something you can add lots of other things to, where you can't necessarily do that effectively when you run or cycle. The key one here is we were designed to do it, and it's postural. And if you get those things right and you get the way you move right, everything else in life, even sitting, you are better at it. So it's highly effective. It also doesn't have to be sweaty. So when we're talking in between clients or whatever else, you can do a huge amount for your metabolism, you can do a huge amount for your posture, you can do a huge amount for your hip flexors and everything else in 5 minutes. It can be done anywhere. You don't need to change your clothes, and daily snippets of moving well, moving beautifully, using your body as it's designed to do, can make a real difference to how you feel. It's also, and this is where it's the science comes in. There are a huge amount of books that are proving now that walking links the mind and body more than any other activity, because we were designed or evolved again as a species to literally map and navigate where we go and recall and remember and notice. And at the optimum walking pace, that is linked in an almost mindful way. And that's why artists, writers, and lots of people will tell you that they go walking and that they go into a particular zone. As opposed to runners that I work with, a lot of runners are focused on speed, on time, and they're looking at their watches, and their minds are based around feeding the exercise, feeding the muscles, and the mind doesn't clear as much as it can do at an effective, comfortable walking pace. So it's a very holistic way to exercise. So great as a stress buster and a way to be mindful in between the lessons as well. And then finally, because one of the biggest programs probably that I'm responsible for is total body walking, which links all of these things. I believe that you can put every element of fitness into a walk or a walking routine. And so again, even 5 minutes, if you know what you can just throw into that walk to add something else. So number one, let's look at our posture. And we'll try and do this. If you can stand up while you're watching this, please do so. If not, let's just work on the upper body as well. But if you are standing, number one is your feet need to be in line with your hips, and they need to be facing forward, toes facing forward. So take a look at your feet when you're standing, or if you're standing now, and make sure they're not splaying out, that one's not further back than the other, and that there's a real nice alignment there. You align your hips to make sure, again, that one isn't further forward than the other. So you're in perfect synergy all the way down, and then moving up, look at your pelvis, and you need to relax yourself and put your pelvis in what's called a neutral position. So make sure that your pelvic area is not tilted forward or back falsely. You're not forcing yourself in any way. You're relaxed and neutral. And now semi-engage your tummy muscles, and it's almost like pulling the tummy button. You can do this seated, guys, towards the spine, but don't over tighten. And that's just holding the core in place, as it were. Now, the key one that for anybody, and this is one of my beefs, and you know, I'm a former runner, I'm a former distance runner, trail runner, you name it, but one of the biggest problems with running is tightness, because you bend and you tighten, and the arm movement is small. And so what we're trying to do with walking and posture and postural exercise is to get those shoulders down away from the ears. I always joke that people wear their shoulders as earrings a lot. And if they work on desks, and I would imagine even in your job, it can be really, really possible to sort of draw yourself into this position. So number one is drop those shoulders. And to test whether you've got this right, now swing your arms. If your shoulders are relaxed and dropped away from your ears, your arm can swing backwards and forwards in a complete arm range movement that it's supposed to do. If your shoulders are tight and upwards, you can only do pumping short movements. And again, a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to go out for a walk and I'll walk really briskly, and they hunch up and they punch their arms. All wrong. To walk effectively, you have to work the whole body. And this is why 5 minutes can be really, really effective, as opposed to a brisk little march where you're actually taking short steps, you're not working every muscle to its full capacity, and you're not letting the body be how the body should be, how it was designed to be. So open the chest area, pull the shoulders back, drop them down, look ahead. And again, when you look ahead, it means take that chin so it's level with the ground. And that's really important as well. And that really helps. And then the final one is to relax your hands and make sure that they're really relaxed. And if you look at the lady when she's walking there, have a look at that hand position, thumb at the top, slightly curled hand. That's going to be really important in a minute when I show you where we've gone with total body walking. And then practice if you are standing, if you can. The key to walking well, there's 3 key things that most people don't do. Number 1 is the foot strike. You have to actively hit the ground with your heel, roll through the heel and up onto the toe with a lift which engages the core. And then if you've got your shoulders nice and relaxed, you can drop your shoulders down and you can work that whole body. You swing the arm forward. It should be slightly bent on the forward and slightly to the middle line. So every time the arm swings, it should come to the middle line. And then when you pull back, you pull it right back behind you, as you can see in the picture. If you walk like that, you are really increasing the calorific content of your exercise. You're working on posture and you're improving all of your muscles and your ability then to perform other functional movements later on. So that's number 1 for everyone. Whatever other exercise you do, go out there, learn to walk well. It's a game changer. Number 2 is to make it brisk. So lots and lots of studies are showing that if you walk briskly, you're basically going to live longer. And that's, this is science. I've got hundreds and hundreds of research documents that prove this, that those who have always walked brisker are now being proven to have different DNA, different telomeres that mean they are living longer than those that are amblers and sort of slower walkers. So there's a lot of science around trying to encourage fast walking even from childhood. And that's all linked to the DNA. These studies are very new, but they and the ones that are linked to cognitive function and dementia are becoming more and more evident that the best way to ward off dementia is to be a brisk walker, more than anything else as well. So what is brisk? Steps per minute would be, if you're using a step counter app or a fitness tracker, it's about 100. But, some people go, oh, I do a lot more than that. And a lot of other people say, I couldn't possibly do that. So it's all subjective. It's all what's right for you. These are generalized guidelines that the NHS are now using. And they have got a great tracker app called the Active 10. So if this is something you think, yeah, do you know what, I'm going to give this a go, use the NHS Active 10 tracker app. And they say about 3 to 3.5 miles an hour is brisk for the average person. A lot of our Nordic walkers would say that's pretty slow. But that's because they've practiced and they're also using poles, which are an aid. Okay, so the next way to make walking or to sort of enhance your everyday movements are to look at functional. And I always use this lovely little Leonardo, I nearly said DiCaprio there, Da Vinci image here, because a lot of us live in what I call a phone box. We kind of sit in that little zone. How often do we fully reach out over there? How often do we fully reach up? I have always kept my wine glasses on a really high shelf because I'm, I don't care if I'm in my mid-60s, I'm still going to reach up. And my sister will say, but why don't you put them lower? I don't want to. I still want to reach up every day for my glass of wine. And when we move around the kitchen, do we tend to start putting things at a level that make it easier rather than forcing ourselves to reach, lean, bend, etc.? And so a lot of the work that I do is just say, well, look at your daily life. When you got up this morning, or when you got into the car, when you got out of the car, when you did that, did you actually achieve any of those Leonardo da Vinci moves? and reach and work your body to its full extent. And it doesn't have to be star jumps. It doesn't have to be, it just has to be a series of movements that are functional. So bending, lifting, pushing, pulling and reaching are what we're designed to do. And I always say to people, have a think at the end of the day, did you do any? Now, if you've been out in your garden, yes, you will have. If you've been doing some exercise, yes, you will have. But a huge amount of us, probably not. But there's no reason why, if you're out for a walk, you can't just train yourself to bend down and make it look like you're doing your laces, but you're bending. There's no reason why you can't bend down and pick something up, a stone or something, just to make yourself do it. There's no reason why you can't push against a tree, pull something, reach up and touch the trees. If you teach yourself to do that, nobody else will know you're doing it except you. And you know, when you go to bed at night, yeah, I've gone through a full range of movement. The other one is looking at your flexibility within range of movement as well. And strength drills. So all of these things can be added into a daily walk or a short walk if you know how to do it. And we're now proving that we work with a lot of older adults, I'll be honest, 90% of the people we work with are 50 plus. And we are seeing massive differences to them just saying, I feel so much better, and they can't actually say why. And it's because we've just added these general things into a really fun sociable session that they think is just a themed walk with a drink at the end. But by stealth, we've managed to make people work on things that just make them feel good. Opening the chest, breathing properly. How many of us do that well? And get that fresh air in and breathe in all the goodness that the trees are breathing out for us. And the final one is mixing the pace up. By just walking fast, it's not good. And by just walking slow, it's not good. What your body needs is for you to sometimes push it and sometimes slow off. And the mind-body benefits of doing that are quite powerful, and it becomes like a circuit. So, you know, HIIT circuits, etc. It is entirely possible within a walk to have that effect on your body just by altering the pace. And then finally, with walking, you can add some oomph. Excuse my phone going off there. And adding some oomph, we've all seen, if you go into a gym, you've got your treadmills, great. They're always busy, people walking and running, looking at themselves in a mirror and breathing other people's bad air at the moment. I would always say, if I'm going into a gym, I would get onto the cross trainer, not the walking machine, because I don't just want to work the major muscles in my lower body. I want to work the whole body. I want to double the effects. And so one of our key programs, as Kevin said at the beginning, has been using poles, because poles actually replicate that cross training machine 100%. So you can see from the guy here, he's using total body walking poles, he's reaching forward, he's gaining propulsion, he's using 90% of his muscles. He's actually reducing the pressure on his knees and hips, great for older adults or those with aches and pains. And the propulsion that he's gaining is not only working the upper body and increasing the shoulder and arm effort and chest effort that he's putting in, but he's also then lighter on his feet, which means he can stay out longer and walk further and faster than he normally would be able to do. So it's absolutely great for someone who's short of time, especially because you're getting more for your time that you're out. And also you can achieve more if you are a beginner by starting to walk with some poles. So they're the key things that I think, if you add around a walk, that you could get out of your car. Definitely, I would be saying get out of your car whenever you can, because just by standing, you're going to get a metabolic boost. But obviously, if you can walk around, if you've got 5 minutes, if you can walk well, swing those shoulders. When nobody's looking, do a bit of reach up, reach down, bend, or whatever. It doesn't have to look like exercise. It doesn't have to be star jumps in a car park to start boosting your body and your metabolism and your movement. If you want to, you can have a gym in the back of the car. You can have some poles in there. You can have something called a smoothie, which also vibrates as you swing it when you walk. It really doesn't have to be onerous, and it can be fitted in anywhere. And you can do it socially if you want as well. So if we've got any questions about walking before I go into the last two slides, or any comments coming through there, Kevin, that you know.
Nothing at the moment. I've been keeping my eye on it, but now we've had that.
Any questions? Anybody got any questions about walking or exercise or anything you want me to answer? I'm hoping that Ian's dead keen to just get out there and practice how to walk well, actually.
Mm.
No comment from Ian.
Closing comment, a thumbs up. There we go.
Yeah.
I did think that picture though of Leonardo da Vinci, was it?
Yeah.
I did think, when you think about Leonardo DiCaprio, he did have a similar pose, didn't he? Arms out on the front of the Titanic. Would that work?
Yes, he did. Maybe that's where he got it from. But he kept his clothes on clearly on that one.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I always just refer to that image because just think about that circle around you that he drew, and we should be able to touch every edge of that circle with either our feet or our arms. And when did you ever do a movement like that? Especially the sideward movement of legs. And again, you know, I met a lovely guy once, local, I'm down in Dorset, and he was as fit as a flea, and had always run, but his posture was absolutely awful, and he sort of said to me, why do you use those stupid poles? You know, I think running has got to be the answer. And I said to him, the only thing I'd say is that, you know, you haven't worked your upper body since when? And he admitted that no, he hadn't. And the sad fact was that when he had a fall, he really damaged himself because he didn't have the strength in the upper body, and he now can't go out running because he's done quite a lot of damage to himself. Whereas had his posture been better and had his upper body been engaged more, I do believe he could still be out there doing his exercise. So I think sometimes we do have to be really honest and say, you know, what is fitness? What is well-being? And some people base it all on cardiovascular. Some people base it all on strength. Some people base it all on being thin. I know several people that are larger than what somebody would typically think of an avid exerciser, but they're actually, when you do all the stats, the metabolics, everything else, they've got really good functionality, really good range of movement, and really good metabolic stats, etc., cardiovascular, strong as an ox. So I think we as a society need to start looking more at what is fit, what is healthy, and it's all just about using the body as it was designed to do, and using it constantly in little short bursts, rather than trying to make exercise something that has to be planned for, joined in, pre-booked, and make you feel sweaty and exhausted. I don't necessarily think that is essential. So if there are no more questions, nothing anybody wants to ask me? Nothing
else there? No, I was just taking the liberty of posting a few little websites there, folks, in the chat. This will be recorded, or is being recorded, so you can, on the YouTube channel there, you can. And
anybody, if you've got questions you want to ask me, as I say, a background in everything from aromatherapy and sports therapy to all sorts of different things that I've taught, delivered, or trained other people to deliver over the years. So anything in relation to exercise, sports, that kind of thing, any questions you have about injuries and mobility, fire it away, and I'll see what I can do for you. And so we're going to go into 3 daily stretches for sedentary people, and my lovely colleague Martin, we're hoping this works, is going to show you how to do them. Now, we've got a bank of hundreds and hundreds of these, and we also do deliver them online, and as early as 7:30 in the morning. So for those of you that have got really busy lifestyles, if you want to do these with our experts, then it's much better than trying to watch it on a video. But the ones that we're going to show you today are for particularly good for sedentary people, but as Kevin and I discussed at the beginning, you should actually always stretch the opposing muscles as well as the ones that we're concentrating on. And stretches are best done when the muscles are warm and have been used, and not from static or cold straight out of bed, etc. So always move a little bit before you stretch. Never rush or bounce them. Take your time, hold them gradually. Relax while you're doing it. Don't push. It should be not painful, but you should just be feeling that you're pushing the muscle a little bit. And as time progresses, you might be able to take a deep breath. And as you do that, and anyone who's done yoga, if you take in a deep breath and then on the out breath, expand the stretch a little bit more, your body will usually give you a little bit more and the muscle will start to work. Long muscles mean mobility. It's as simple as that. The shorter and less used and less worked muscles that aren't stretched and encouraged, they will just become very, very tight. Mobility gets affected and the ability to exercise gets affected as well. So stretching is everything. So, you know, I would always advise people go to yoga or stretch classes, if nothing else. So let's watch Martin. Let's hope this works.
I'm sure you've got your volume up there, folks, on your devices, Heather.
Yeah, because he's talking on the video.
Stretch the hip flexors, take a step back, heel off the ground, tuck your pelvis under and sink into the stretch. You're looking to feel the stretch through the front of the hip, possibly down to the front of the thigh. Ensure that your front knee doesn't travel over your front foot, so you're keeping your weight upright. Change sides, bend your knees to go down, taking a step back onto your toes, tuck your pelvis under your body and sink into the stretch. The muscle being stretched here, the hip flexors, run from the inner thigh across the front of the pelvis to the spine. So these muscles are short through sitting a lot. It's really important to stretch them after a walk.
Okay, I'll move on to the next one.
Stretch the hip flexors.
Oh, no, he wants to do the same one. Let's just move him on. There we go.
Stretch the back of your thighs, bend both knees. Kick one leg forward and bow forward. Keep your hands on your thighs to support your back. You should feel the stretch on the back of your thigh. You may choose to put your toe lower, closer to the ground, or lift your toe back towards you, or point away. Feel where the stretch is most effective. It's not necessarily with the toe up. Change sides. Notice it's often easier to demonstrate side on for your clients. Point where you should feel the stretch, here on the back of your thigh. Keeping your hands on your thigh to support your back, keeping your back straight, playing with your toe position to get the most effective position for the stretch on the back of your thigh.
There we go. We'll see if I can move him on again.
Stretch the back of your thighs. Bend.
No. There we go.
Spinal rotations are great for warming up your back. Start gently, rotating side to side. Don't tense up into your shoulders. Keep your shoulders low. To increase the intensity, you can begin to step across, shifting your weight from one foot to the other. Be mindful to keep your center of gravity, your body between your feet. Don't throw yourself too quickly to become unsteady. You can keep it nice and gentle or make it more vigorous.
Okay, so that last one was actually, it's not a stretch necessarily, it's a mobilizer, but I think that's a really key one for if when you get out of a car, that would be a really good one for your back. So just really quickly, if anybody does want any more advice, we have Kevin's and people all over the country that local and centrally. So we have a team at head office. We have people all over the country who run little clubs, or large clubs up to 1,000 in some of them, people that go walk regularly, exercise regularly. We do a lot of screening, we do a lot of consultation, we have 6-week lifestyle plans that we can work on. We're browse and book. So where that might work for you guys is if you're moving across location, there could well be something close by to where you're going if you've got an hour or so to spare. And we work as a network, so you might be on holiday in Dorset, you're quite welcome to come and see me. I have 11 instructors that work for me down here, and we have up to 40 walks a week going on that are basically exercise that you wouldn't know you're exercising because you're just out and having a ball in a stunning location. Similarly, Martin that you just saw is on Hampstead Heath in London. So if you're ever driving past there, you can pop in and see him, or Kevin in South London. So there's several of us out there, but we also, all of our walksers, as we now call them, can also join us online. Our experts are online from 7 in the morning with different Pilates, yoga, stretch workouts, etc. And we have lots of other little benefits like reward points and festivals and various things to get involved with as well. And we're quite happy for people to come and join us and learn more about how walking can be a really effective way to exercise. No matter how fit you are already, we can always add something to that as well. And to just give you a snapshot of the sort of things that are going on, from rehabilitation for Parkinson's through to yoga, walking yoga, using the smoothies, using the poles, using bands. We do it outdoors because we believe that being outdoors and being active is the way to be as close as possible to what our bodies were designed to do. That's me done, Kevin.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. That was great that it's pitched perfectly for us driving instructors. You got a round of applause there.
Oh, thank you.
We'll be uploading what you've just seen there onto our YouTube channel. I've just put the web link there. We'll give that a good old plug through our members, so as many people as possible can review that and see that. So thank you so much. If there are any closing questions or anything, folks, feel free to type those over to us. Somebody's got a hand up. A little hand up. Oh, Jackie, right, little hand up. But you've typed something, but it's not spelled correctly. It just looks like real inner. So I'm not quite sure what the message was there, Jackie, but feel free to type it again. But I got a thank you, Jill, there from Diane. Super. No problem, Diane. Just get out there and walk well. Give it a go today. Remember your foot roll. Thanks, Jackie. Well. That's what you was typing. Yeah. Really interesting. And if anybody has got any questions or about walking, then just email me. It's Jill with a G at walks.co.uk, and any questions I can answer them for you. If there's any reasons that you find movement difficult, then usually we can find a way around that as well. Brilliant. Yes. And Ian, I'm waiting to see you get going. Yes. Just get out that car and have a walk. That's all you need to do to start. Yeah. Corinne's mentioning the hip flexor stretch there. She's got to definitely do that. And Ian says thank you. Plenty to work on. Great. Appreciate all your comments and feedbacks, folks. Hope you found it helpful. So we're trying to give you a range of webinars on all sorts of things going forward. So yeah, keep an eye on the email accounts. Do by the way, subscribe to the YouTube channel, because then anytime, as soon as we upload the video, then obviously you'll get a notification and you don't have to keep looking. Thank you. Brilliant. And thanks, guys. See you on the next one. So feel free to log out whenever you want to, ladies and gents.
Oh, Wendy, now I hear this probably every day.
Oh,
with
question, Wendy.
plantar fasciitis. Yeah, it's a difficult one and it affects walking a lot, but there are some key things that you can do. Number one is the pain is always worse when you get out of bed in the morning. And so before you get out of bed in the morning, do some foot flexion activity, and definitely point your toes up towards the rest of your body, stretching out the calf and then point them down, and really move and get some blood into it before you put that foot on the ground. Number two, get a towel, put it in front of your toes and use the toes to grab that towel and pull it towards you. Number three, get a foot roller and roll your foot, massage it daily with something like we'll either do an arnica balm, definitely do that, and then go and see a podiatrist around your footwear, because if your footwear is wrong, then that will really aggravate plantar fasciitis. But stretching, massage and those exercises, and when it's really bad, you do have to take the weight off it and rest it, because it's an aggravated condition. So
Is it cold compress, is that recommended at all, Jill?
if it's really inflamed, then yeah, anything that's inflamed, hot, red, angry, painful, yeah, something cooling will help on it. The thing with plantar fasciitis is it's long stringy sort of tendons that come underneath the foot, and so if they're tight or aggravated, they are going to really affect the whole foot plant. And so for walkers, it's really important that you condition your feet, and we do a lot of stuff around actually exercising the feet and getting foot mobility. And as you saw when we were doing the walking correctly, if you do walk correctly, a lot of people place their foot down flat, and unfortunately plantar fasciitis is a reason for that. So you know, that is always something we have to work on, because we have to actually get the foot working properly in order to walk properly, to not then get more injuries. But most of our guys are quite good at dealing with that. So that's a very short answer to that one, but definitely those exercises should help you.
Do you think those inner soles help at all, or they're just sort of masking the problem? Some sort of inner sole with more support or cushion?
Yeah, if they're wrong though, they'll make it worse. Right. Because the aim is to get that right for your foot plant. So unless you go and see a podiatrist and you know whether you're pronating, supinating or whatever, so yeah, give that a go, Wendy, because I know we've all had it at some time. It's really painful, and there's nothing worse than not being able to walk.
Yes, so she said, yeah, I'll give it a try. And then we got one other question from Ian. So Ian says he's currently experiencing pain deep within the buttock, or almost feels like a deep bruise. That sounds like sciatica, but sitting on an extra cushion when out on a drive, is that an idea, or is it tight?
Yeah, it is, but you've got to stretch through that. So you've got to do your hip flexor stretch that we showed you. You've also, if you look up online gluteal stretches, then you need to sort of work through that whole area. You actually need to stand more as well. That's going to be the key to that, because what's happening there is your body is getting used to that seated position, and it's putting pressure on down through the vertebrae. So you need to lengthen and work on your posture, stand more, move more, as a bare minimum. And if it keeps going, don't let it get to an acute situation, because as we all know, sciatica is not nice. So if it's aching now, act before it gets where it goes beyond an ache.
Yes, lots of sciatica stretches you can look up online as well.
Yeah. Mobility is everything. Yeah. All right.
Lovely. I think we're coming to a pause there, but
yeah,
brilliant. So have a great day, everyone. Drive safe, be safe, and we'll see you on the next one, perhaps. And
move more.
And move more. Keep moving.
All right. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye.